Welcome to the Hustle Bing podcast. Today we are joined by Adam Zek, the co-founder of My Standard, and we're going to get to know him and his company a little bit today. So thank you so much for your time, Adam. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing wonderful today. How are you? The kids are all at
Great.
school, so things now can relax.
Almost. We can breathe.
Work is less stressful than when they're around.
Yeah. That is so true. Okay, cool. So talk to me. What is My Standard?
My standard is, I guess, a vision that we had 3 years ago where
Mhm,
people need to start owning their own data. Very simple idea, hasn't
mhm,
ever really been executed properly today.
mhm.
Um, and you know, the general idea is that Web 2.0 exists because it needed to. We had to have nice user interfaces and user experiences for people to take advantage of everything the web offered.
Yeah.
And then Web3 came along and said, hey, we can actually start to own some of this. So,
Mhm.
we can own our own money, is, where crypto really started with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But we're taking it kind of a step further, saying, well, why can't we own everything else about us? There's $1 trillion marketplace of our data being sent to somebody else to then monetize and control,
Mhm.
and we trust them to do good with it. And they time and time again have shown us they cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
And Facebook, I think, in the political scene many years ago, got a lot of trouble for selling our data to some groups that were doing some terrible things with their marketing and
Yeah.
misinformation. LinkedIn has had their databases hacked multiple times, and our data has been exposed. Our passwords have been exposed.
Yeah.
And so we built My Standard as a way of saying, hey, we need a new standard for how our data is being held and collected. And
Mhm.
then our users are going to be able to store their information very easily on an iOS and an Android app, to allow them to have true custody of their data. Like I can't even access their data if I wanted to.
Okay.
We're making it so that the government can't knock on my door one day and say, "Hey, we want all the information you have on Izzy." I can't look at your data even. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even look at it if I wanted to. You have to
Okay.
unlock your data yourself, and that's a lot of power and control and safety, knowing
Yeah.
that the only person who could see and access your data is you. And then what we're
Mhm.
allowing then is for you to permission your data out, to somebody who wants to know something about you. So it could be an employer looking at you for a potential job. It could be an
Mhm.
advertiser looking at you to buy a product. It could be you could be applying for a loan. You could be doing a background check.
Yeah.
All these things are your data that somebody else usually has to go and collect and send, and you're distributing yourself, and then you get paid for it,
Yeah.
if you choose to share your data, or you could stay anonymous and hidden if you'd like to as well. So it's truly giving
Oh.
people like an opportunity to own their own data,
Yeah.
permission their own data, and if they choose to share it, they can be monetized on it, or they
Mhm.
could just say no, I don't want to share my information with you. And this model has been tested and critiqued for over 3 years now, and we kind of feel like we finally hit like the sweet spot of the
Yeah.
right way to make it so that people stay anonymous until they choose not to be. But
Yeah.
then kind of like providing them an incentive to say, well, why don't you come out of being anonymous? You get paid $30 to do so.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you share information with this advertiser? Why don't you share information with this employer?
Yeah.
Because it's a good fit. And
Yeah.
we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Kind of like the dating app scene.
Yeah.
Dating apps are successful because nobody feels a sense of rejection. So we're doing a
Yeah.
similar thing for this model, where both parties are essentially saying this person is interested to me, but until they both share both decide to
Mm.
engage, that's when you come out of anonymity. That's when you get paid. But if
Yeah.
one person says no, or one person's not interested on either party, neither of the other person really knows
Yeah.
that they were denied the request to see their data by this specific person. So people really get a chance to have a lot of power and control of their data, and their data is kind of always being worked, in being put to work then. And
Yeah.
it hasn't been done. There's like pieces of this that have been done in
Mhm.
history. No
Yeah.
one's really executed it the way we're doing it, and no one's done it on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And so we started building 3 years ago. We raised a lot of money from people in the crypto space who are interested in us for what we're doing. So we're backed by Winklevoss Capital, Avalanche, Avalabs, which is a top 10 biggest blockchain in the world,
Mhm.
and then Angels, and then Moonboots. So we have a really good backing, and
Yeah.
we're releasing a number of our services now, over the next like 4 months.
Nice. That's crazy. I love the fact that you're really giving the power to the consumer. I feel like, we some sites you can't even like access that website without clicking accept cookies and you have to
Hmm.
accept all the cookies. So,
Yeah.
it's really interesting that you'd be able to like give that power back to the person, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So then what's your story? Why did you start My Standard?
I was actually helping Johnson and Johnson with a um, like EEOC kind of issue. They were trying to like remove remove bias from the recruiting process. There was
Okay.
a lot of bias that's introduced into a recruiting process where
Yeah.
people, they see the color of the skin or the school the person
Yeah.
went to or their name,
Yeah.
and just those three things can kind of like paint a picture in the recruiter's mind of who this person is. And if the
Mm.
recruiter has bias, which it's hard, everybody has bias.
Yeah.
Like you can't say I'm not biased. I don't see, you know what I mean? Everyone has it. All we can do is try to like push bias down the field. So it's like
Mm.
when it actually comes into play, they've already invested emotionally in that candidate.
Yeah.
And so so we started this company because the general idea was to have zero knowledge proofs, which is like we provide a proof to the employer that this candidate is a good fit for their job,
Mm.
but we don't show them any of the detail of that candidate that would show them bias. Like the
Yeah.
employer might know that they're a Java developer or 10 years experience who worked for these companies and,
Yeah.
um, all that about like the professional information, but they don't get to see like, skin color,
Yeah.
name, school,
Yeah.
until the candidate actually says, yeah, this is interesting to me, and they got paid for their data and they share it. So it's like we're pushing the bias
Ah.
as far as we can down the field, but we
Yeah.
also give people an incentive to like finally share that sensitive information, like contact information and look and
Yeah.
profile picture and all that stuff, until after the employer has like already vetted them from a professional level. So it's like they
Yeah.
have to see the professional skills first, and then they can see like the bias, the things
Yeah.
that would give bias.
Yeah.
So that was like the first thing that we were trying to like help them with. And I was, like I said, I was helping Johnson and Johnson with this problem, and there really isn't a good solution for it,
Mm.
because candidate data is always exposed very early. And
Yeah.
so then we were saying, well, like, let's just make this model that exposes that type of candidate data like way later in the process, but
Yeah.
provide them an incentive to share it. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like the first precipice. And the second one is that organizations, like IBM as an example, who's helping us build our services and is one of our partners, um, they have a lot of data on people that they're
Mm.
sitting on today, and they're getting
Mm.
no value out of. They just have to spend money to protect it. So
Yeah.
in My Standard, organizations will be able to use all that data they're kind of sitting on people and validate information on people's profiles, which creates a
Yeah.
higher fidelity profile on the candidate,
Yeah.
and then they get rewards for doing so too. So now it's like organizations can get value, and it's going to be a little bit at first, but I mean, as My Standard grows, like every
Yeah.
time that validated data is shared for the rest of that candidate's lifetime or the rest of that person's lifetime, IBM will get some rewards back. And so it's going to
Okay.
start with like organizations validating employment histories and things like that on
Mm.
people. But later it could be like, I could validate that Adam spends, um, has had a relationship with us on buying, let's say, vacation homes. And I could
Mm.
validate that. And if I approve that on my profile, now it's like a higher piece of debt. Like this is a person who's got a verified purchase history of this very
Yeah.
specific thing. And
Yeah.
then if I share that with an advertiser, I can also get like that initial organization gets rewards back too. So it's just
Yeah.
this way of like having the community, like our customers and our community kind of self-validate each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then having incentives always make sure that everyone's doing things the right way. So, those are like the two principles is this like, EEOC issue we were handling with Johnson & Johnson, and also the idea that
Mm.
organizations were sitting on a lot of data they got no value out of. So we wanted to create a platform that they could enrich the platform, but also get value back on that data.
Yeah. It's crazy how much like this affects like the spectrum, because I mean you're talking about employment and I was thinking about like advertising. So like it really just like jumps into every single, section of everything.
I would say that, yeah, that's kind of the case. It's a blue ocean opportunity. Our
Yeah.
investors, we have some investors who want us to just like do one thing really well, and
Mm.
we're sticking to like a roadmap of how we're rolling out different data products on the platform.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of people have invested in us because the way we're doing this can kind of land and expand in any market. So we
Yeah.
can start and we could do hiring, we could do advertising, we could drop this. It's because really the tech is, we created this like, text, you can store your information. We
Mm.
created text so that that information can be queried. And
Yeah.
then the bridge that connects those two parties together, it says, yeah, I'm interested in you and I will, and yeah, I'll share my information with you. And that's like the bridge
Yeah.
between those two worlds we're creating. Um, So it can kind of do anything. One of our investors is going to be invested in us because they're interested in us doing like nursing credentialing, as an example. So like,
Oh,
I get a nursing license,
yeah.
and in order to apply for this job, that nursing license has to be authenticated by whoever gave me that license on my
Mm-hmm.
profile,
Mm-hmm.
and that allows me then to share that when I go to apply for a nursing job up front.
Yeah.
Because right now in today's world, I could apply for a nursing job. I can go through the entire interview process. I can go to the hiring manager. They could want to hire me. I go to the background check, and then they find out during the background check, which is a third party validating my data, that I actually don't have a nursing license, or it's not
Yeah.
valid anymore, or it's not in the state, or it's not for the right type of nursing that I'm doing. And
Yeah.
that all that time was wasted, right, for the recruiting team
Mm.
and the hiring manager. Well, it's not just a little bit. 60% of nurses that go through this process don't have the right nursing license. So that's a lot of time,
Really?
60%. So they're saying, we're going to make it so that in order for you to apply to our jobs, you have to have a My Standard cryptographic immutable proof on your profile that says, I am a nurse with these
Yeah.
specifics and it's active. And we create a portal where the nursing agency or whoever like issues that credential about you being an official nurse can put onto your profile, like, can validate that, and it's validated through a number of mechanisms to make sure it's authentic, and it's like
Yeah.
stamped with like an electronic stamp that just says like this has been authenticated by the right person. It can be done for universities and such. So
Yeah.
there's use cases then, like it allows people to take the time it takes to get validated high fidelity data from like weeks to like moments. Like people will be able to
Yeah.
apply, like I could actually pre-background check myself without going to a third party before I apply to a job.
That's so
Or I can
cool.
click a button that will
Yeah.
show, will you pass this background check or not?
Yeah.
So companies can actually load their background check like process into the platform. I can click a button and it'll say, well, you actually won't pass this background check. So
Yeah.
it's not even worth applying for. And it can actually
That's
compare like their
crazy.
needs versus your data instantly. So there's all
Yeah.
these ramifications for this tech that are outside of like the obvious use cases, and I think that that's one of the exciting prospects about what we're doing is it really can kind of like interject into all facets of people's lives.
Yeah.
I'm a cancer survivor, and I had to get my medical records transferred from one
Mm.
hospital to another. It took 2.5 weeks because HIPAA controls your data. You have
Yeah.
to have your data faxed over. You actually have never hold on to your own medical records data. It goes from
Yeah.
hospital to hospital through a secure process that requires fax machines, and it's long and arduous.
Mm.
What I found out, though, was that the reason HIPAA exists is to protect the consumers or the person's data, but it's also because that data is anonymized and sold while it's not being in my control.
Mm.
So my
Yeah.
medical records for my cancer history are being anonymous. Like my name's out of it, but they're sending it to studies, they're sending it to drug companies, they're sending all. It's
Yeah.
a $45 billion industry of our
Yeah.
medical records being used to profit the hospital systems, and we sign off on that. Like, but
Yeah.
they say it's to protect our data. It's really to protect that massive amount of revenue they're driving off our data.
Yeah.
If I have my own medical records and my own history of my cancer and surgery and all that with my own
Mm.
profile, those drug companies have to come to me directly to say, hey, you're the right. We want to see everything about what you have because we want to do
Yeah.
some studies on it.
I want to do
Can
some
you share that
research and stuff.
information with us? And I would share it. I would get compensated for it. So there's all
Yeah.
these cool little nuanced things about our data being abused today that we're going to be able to
Yeah.
interject this data into, this platform into. Um,
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, wow. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for explaining that. I mean, like, you've opened my mind. I really had no idea that it affected so much. It's crazy. So lastly, what are some of the challenges? So, if I understand correctly, my standard hasn't been launched yet, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's the challenge is building this nuanced platform using bleeding edge technology, and
Yeah,
also like we're not like we're trying to abstract all that blockchain complexity. I don't know if you personally
yeah.
are in crypto and blockchain, but like it's not easy to use.
It's very
There's a lot of
complicated.
ways you could screw it up. There's a lot of ways
Yeah.
you could lose all your money. There's a lot of ways you can. Uh, it's not like mom proof. I hate to say it,
Yeah.
I love my mom, but like crypto is not for her. But
Yeah,
we're
that's
making
so
this app
cute.
for my mom. So like it's
Yeah.
literally passed the mom test already. You can very elegantly and easily like join our platform, enter your data. It encrypts and decentralizes your data and stores it,
Yeah.
away from our servers. And it's all done like in the back end. So like we're
Yeah.
not trying to be like the Web3 for LinkedIn or the Web3, like how a lot of like Web3 companies are.
Yeah.
We're just my standard. Like the tech is in the background, it's abstracted. It's just going to
Yeah.
work when you use it. You're not
Yeah.
going to know you're on the blockchain, and that takes time. It takes a lot of effort to like architect the solution, but also abstract it away.
Yeah.
And so it's taken us a while to build. And so our
Yeah.
biggest challenge is getting things launched, making sure everything works and can scale appropriately.
Mm.
We've gone through many iterations of our backend because when we actually do launch, we need it to be right. We need it to be able
Yeah.
to handle. We have 6 to 7,000 people on our waitlist today who are interested in joining into this app that's available
Wow.
to them, which they
Yeah.
join on our website. And we haven't even started marketing ourselves yet. So it is nice that we're kind of like just the people who kind of hear about it word of mouth are very interested in what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But it's just building. Building is hard to do. It's harder than I thought it would be, to be honest. And we have a plan of how to get everything released. We have the
Yeah.
capital necessary to also release everything, which is great. And then after everything's released, we are highly confident. There's a number of different like mechanisms in play to get us a
Mm.
decent amount of capital quickly to help scale the
Yeah.
organization. And that's when organizations like Hustlewing will come involved because we'll be hiring full-time people, but we'll also have a lot of like needs for you know part-time marketing, part-time sales, like kind of
Yeah.
popping up for like when we're going to be doing like a banners to billboards New York City campaign, like that's going to require some like side hustlers to help
Yeah.
execute on that campaign appropriately.
Yeah.
And always the opportunity that if somebody wants to work for us, like they have to believe in our vision of like
Yeah.
ownership of data. Like you believe in that, and you show us that like like we have people who are working for us now who like they just like when talking to us all of a sudden start imagining like a world where this existed and like started coming up with their own use cases and their own
Yeah.
ideas, and like we add it
Yeah.
to the board. I have a board on my entire wall here of ideas of things we're going to
Oh,
be doing with this
wow.
platform, and like we
Yeah.
just add it to the list. But it's nice when someone's gears start turning that way and believing in it,
Yeah.
and those are the type of people that we want to bring on board
Yeah.
and in the future.
Amazing, amazing. Well, that's great. I mean, I definitely see you guys going really far because it's a needed product, and you're fighting the system essentially. So you got a huge challenge ahead of you.
Yeah,
But
we knew that
I'm
from day one. Anytime
sure.
you disrupt an entire industry, let alone all of industries, there's going to be
Yeah,
a lot of headwinds, a lot of pushback. But we're hoping
yeah,
that people are on our side. If people are
yeah,
on our side, that this is something that's necessary and the timing is right,
yeah.
then we'll win. And
Okay.
and our revenue is actually aligned with our users. So we don't make money until our users make money. Whereas like LinkedIn charges an organization to use LinkedIn and the
Yeah.
candidate sees nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When candidates get paid for their data, that's the only time that we'll make money as well. So like we really just
Right.
have to align ourselves with our users, do everything right
Yeah.
by our users, give our users more revenue making opportunities, give our users
Yeah.
more data that they can sell and share,
Yeah.
and make it safe and fun for them to use because when they win, we win. And instead of like when corporations win, we win.
Yeah.
Uh, we aligned ourselves with our users because if we get all the people on the platform, like organizations will use us, right?
Yeah. They have
So we were
to.
that's our model here. So we're hoping that
Yeah.
everyone who's listening to this wants to be a part of this, and then in some way, shape, or form.
Amazing, amazing. So you did mention about the whole marketing and sales, which is obviously very important because you got to get the brand out there, right? Brand awareness, and people to know about it so that they can
Yeah.
use the product. But would you also be looking at other functions? So we do have, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was just breathing. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. So yes, I was going to say, obviously, you mentioned that it's a very complicated product, and I'm sure you have, you've been working on it for 3 years, so you know it's very complicated. But we do have obviously engineers, UIX designers,
Okay.
software people that would be interested in something like that because you know how tech really does care. Tech people care about security and stuff. So would you be open into hearing from like pitches of hustlers that would be interested in helping in that function?
Yeah, I would be. I mean, though, we're still in that stage where kind of like everything is in play. It's a nice
Yeah,
place to be. It's not too bureaucratic yet. We're not like a large company yet.
yeah,
We don't have, um, there's some opportunity to do some things in the near term, but mostly it's going to happen after our products are released. But there are,
yeah,
if anybody wants to like reach out to say like, hey, I'm a dev or I have a really good Web3 background.
yeah.
Our UI UX, we do have an amazing lead
Okay.
for that. who's an absolute award-winning designer. Um, but he's going to need, I don't know, he's going to need a team of people in the future. So like those people reaching
Yeah.
out is good
Yeah.
for us to see. But I would say if you are sending information over, like showing us examples of marketplaces you've worked on, or show us some examples of like things that you like, complex ideas that you've made simple, would be like really important to us. We do
Yeah.
get engaged a lot, just like maybe on LinkedIn alone, just like I get hit up all the time from people looking
Yeah.
for this type of thing from a UI UX standpoint. So really kind of make yourself stand out, because we are doing like like what I describe, it sounds
Mhm.
very complex and big, but it needs to
Yeah.
be like a couple clicks for someone to use it.
Yeah.
Um, the app is primarily driven through notifications.
Yeah.
Like like I just want someone to get a notification that someone's interested in them for their data. They answer the
Yes
notification.
or no.
They move on with their day.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
so, it needs to be so simple, and we're able to do that, but it needs to like maintain that simplicity as we grow and as the app becomes more complex. So
Mm.
yeah, that's just some food for thought on anybody who's interested from that perspective. But if you have a good Web3 background, that's something definitely we're interested in hearing from, because that team will be hiring in-house next year. And then in the meantime, there's some like consulting and potential engagement in the near term.
Yeah. Amazing. Great. And what about in the sort of, is there like legal implications of the type of work that you're doing? Because I mean, you are dealing with data and, it's personal stuff. So it seems like there would be some sort of legal side to the product.
Yeah, I mean, we have a robust legal team already who's kind of been
Okay.
like making sure that everything we do is in line with like the SEC's guidelines as far as being a crypto
Yeah.
and being on the token. Like we worked with the SEC all last year, so we've
Yeah.
already kind of checked that box ahead of
Okay.
time, because we are based in the U.S. as a Delaware C corporation,
Yeah.
which many crypto kind of companies don't want to do. Like they want to open up overseas or in the Cayman
Yeah.
Islands to
Yeah.
avoid the SEC. We kind of went head on with them because we know that organizations in the U.S. will be buying the token and using
Yeah.
the token, so we needed to
Yeah.
have this be like as legitimate as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And so we kind of like got through those legal implications. And then as far as like California Data Protections Act and like I forget in Europe what's it called. The name just jumped out for me, but the data,
Okay.
the big Data Protections Act that was passed in Europe.
Yeah.
The implications for that is that you need to know, you need as a company, you need, like anybody's data that gives you, or anybody gives you that, you need to give them an option to say no. You need to give them
Yeah.
an option to always know what their data is being used for without
Yes.
them consenting to it or consistent, and then also give an option to delete their data and get rid of it if they want to,
Yeah.
or like be removed from the list if they're on like some sort of list.
Mm.
All that's kind of like intrinsically built into the platform.
Yeah.
Like you are the only person who can see and use your data. You're the only person who can say, yes, I will share my data with this organization.
Yeah.
You're the only person who's making compensation. And then if you want to delete your profile for whatever reason, you can do that yourself. So like we're kind of step away from all that, and like let
Yeah.
like those like the natural course of like how we architected the product regulate us, you know,
Okay.
or like be in line with what the regulations are.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very like consumer friendly,
Yeah.
experience. Like there's really no opportunity for your data to be abused or for the app to be annoying. You could just,
Yeah. That's
you
amazing.
know what I mean?
Very important for the app to not be annoying.
I mean, we've all seen it, right? Like
Yeah.
you just get inundated with things.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a feeling that if somebody gets an opportunity on their app that says XYZ company's interested in you for your data, do you want to get paid $30 to share it with them? Like that's not something
Yeah.
someone's gonna be annoyed by.
Yeah. That's true.
As opposed to like all the other apps out there, which constantly are sending you notifications. I don't
Yeah.
know. You have to ignore them.
Cool. And then lastly about the operations side. You like I
Mhm.
said, you are looking to sort of roll out. Obviously you're gonna have a lot more people on the platform. You need sort of processes to sort of assist people and companies that are enrolling. So would you be interested to hearing from hustlers that would be have experience in that function?
Yeah, I mean, a lot more in after we get built.
Yeah.
So being pre-product, pre-revenue, it's hard for us to focus on everything at once. Like we have to focus right
Yeah.
now on building mostly. And we're doing,
Yeah.
some light fundraising and building. After we
Yeah.
get built, we have a lot of ways for liquidity to hit this company,
Yeah.
and then the need for us, like the only goal there's going to be two goals really. The biggest goal is get more users on the platform. So like
Yes.
creative thinkers who can like find more ways or more way to get to larger audiences, to let them know like, hey, this opportunity exists for you to now own your data and get paid for it real time.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to use. Like anybody who has creative ideas of how to get that messaging out there should reach out to us.
Okay.
Because I do believe if we get all the people, then the companies
Yeah.
have to use us, right? If you corner the market
Yeah.
on people,
Then no one's
organizations
be
will come.
forced to. Yeah.
Um, but secondarily, then we'll probably also have like a light sales team that goes out to companies and says, hey, try this out. Here's the types of
Mm-hmm.
people we have. What are the types of
Mm-hmm.
people you're looking for? We're going to
Yeah.
actually do some adjustment in our marketing based off of like the types of people that organizations need to see, or the types of
Mm.
hobbies and interests. Like if a corporate company says like, hey, I would love to use my standard for advertising golf equipment, but like, do you guys have a lot of golfers on the platform? Well,
Yeah.
we can kind of incentivize everyone on the platform to now share their information. Like, are you a golfer? What's your handicap? How much
Yeah.
money do you spend on golf per year? And there's some ways you can actually validate a lot of this information too.
Cool.
And then, now we have like validated information on golfers on the platform. And now those
Yeah.
like golfing companies would love to like access those people and ask them to look at their product or get their survey or do
Yeah.
whatever. So we need like a slight sales team that's going to be engaging with these organizations saying like, what do you need for this to be
Yeah.
valuable to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that's built, like getting them to like buy into it and use it, um, you know, things like that.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Adam. I mean, you're really passionate about this,
Thank
and
you.
I understand why it's an incredible product. And yeah, so thank you so much for sharing it with us, and we'll definitely be
Thank you.
connecting again soon.
I appreciate you, Izzy. Thank you for inviting me to join, and thank you for everyone who took the time to listen to this.
Cool. All right. Have a nice day.
Take care. Thank you.